Hi, I'm going to show you how to oil the valves on your trumpet. It's a fairly easy procedure, but you need to understand how to do it exactly correctly. I especially recommend that for younger students, such as 3rd and 4th graders, that parents help out. And regardless of what age, I think parents should watch this video so they can help students in case there's a mistake. You can help them fix the mistake. First, lay your trumpet on a flat surface. All you need is your valve oil and your trumpet. The first thing you need to do is unscrew the first valve and slide it out. You never want to take it all the way out unless it's absolutely necessary because you run the risk of dropping it. If you drop it, you can dent the bottom edge of the valve, in which case you will have a costly repair on your hands. Pull the valve slightly out, always taking out one valve at a time. Put a few drops of oil on the metal surface, not into the holes. The holes are there to allow air to pass through. And when you slide it back in, make sure that the number, which is imprinted on the valve casing, is facing forward. Most trumpets have the numbers imprinted on the valve casing, and on most trumpets it will be facing forward when put back in correctly. Some trumpets are made differently, and it will be printed in somewhere different. Best way is whenever you take the valve out, look carefully to see which way it's oriented so you put it back exactly the same way. You move on to your second valve. Unscrew it, slide it out, look for the number. A few drops of oil is all you need. Slide it back in, and just like on the first one, listen for the click when you lock it in place. When you hear that click, it's locked in place. On the third valve, follow the exact same procedure. Unscrew the top, slide it up. You can see the number 3 here. Place a few drops of oil on the valve. Slide it back in. Twist it and listen for the click. And then screw the top back on. When the valves are oiled, the valves will move freely and you'll be able to play it. Sometimes when oiling the valves, you may accidentally lock the valves in backwards. Some trumpets, you can lock the valves in backwards. Mine is one of them. I just locked in my first valve backwards. Now listen to what happens when I try to play it. It's very difficult to blow through it. It almost seems as if there's something stuck inside it. What happens is, when the valve is placed in backwards, these holes do not line up with the pipes, and little to no air can get through. And to fix this problem, all you do is simply twist the valve back in the correct direction and lock it back in place. Sometimes this also happens if a student takes out all 3 valves and oils them at the same time, but then puts the wrong valve back in the wrong casing. And again, the number that's engraved on there will help you understand. The first valve is closest to the mouthpiece, and the third valve is closest to the bell. Sometimes after you oil the valves, they will stick even more than before. This happens often when there is small amounts of debris that have been inside the trumpet and the oil has gotten them loose. When this happens, all you need to do is take the valve out of its casing and then wipe it down with a soft, lint-free cloth, a dry, soft, lint-free cloth. Be careful to remove all of the debris. Place it back in the casing, put a few more drops of oil back on it, and slide it back in, making sure that the number is facing forward. Screw the top back on, and the valve should move freely. If it still feels a little bit sluggish, even after cleaning it, it may be necessary to wipe out the valve casing, in which case you remove the piston valve and the bottom cap and take your cloth and carefully wipe it out inside. Never try to jam a large cloth in through this valve casing because it may be very difficult to get it stuck, and any small dents, dings, or indentations can ruin the smoothness of the interior of the valve casing and make it impossible to play. Some other problems that happen with valves, very rarely, but occasionally, sometimes a student may bang one of these valve casings against a desk or other similar hard object and make a tiny microscopic dent in the side of the casing, that dent will also prevent the valve from moving freely. And in those rare cases, that's when a repair would be necessary. But 9 times out of 10, a stuck valve is simply the result of a lack of oil or possibly small amounts of debris. And that's how you oil your valves.